Welcome to today's practice session. It's wonderful to be here with you. And today we're going to be talking about, in our lesson today, the 3 manifestation mistakes, as this is a time of year when most people are working on intentions, or what do they want to create for the next 12 months coming up, or maybe even further out into the future. So there are some little pointers that I've learned over my years, and they're not, I just will say that I don't think that they're anything that you will read about and don't hear too often. So I'm excited to be sharing them with you, and then we'll go into our practice, of course, for today. So let's talk for a little bit about this process of manifestation. And, there's books everywhere. You can read a million things. You can go online and find, I haven't looked online recently, but I'm sure there's millions of things that you can find on the internet about how to manifest, and everything about this law of attraction and how do we manifest by increasing our vibration and all of that stuff. And I'm asking you to throw that all out the window. There's a lot of problems, as I see it, with the manifestation formulas that are out there. And most of them follow some type of general thing, like write down everything that, what is it that your heart desires, and write that down, and maybe list those things in the order of importance, and then set a date or set a goal for those types of things. Of course, you want to take action, imagine yourself achieving that thing, act as if it's already true, do whatever you need to do to clear the blocks and the beliefs that are holding you back. And I'm saying throw all that out the window. Okay. And I'm just going to hop right into the 3 biggest mistakes that we make in setting our goals, or in trying to manifest and use some type of manifestation process. So the number 1 thing that I want to point out is that most people use their intellect instead of their intuition to create in their life in order to manifest what it is that they want in their life. And even if you think, no, I go from my heart, I listen to my heart, well, then you need to maybe go back to the lesson that I did a while ago or I have it on YouTube, actually, the hidden dangers of listening to your heart. But those of you who come all the time to practice sessions know what I mean when I talk about, listening to your heart with a small h and listening to your heart with a capital H, the difference between our emotions and our thoughts, and listening to our what we want emotionally, versus what our intuition is telling us. There's a big difference between the two. It's a subtle difference, but it's a massive difference. So to go a little bit deeper into this, using your intellect instead of your intuition to manifest, what that means is that you're using your thinking mind. You're thinking, okay, well, what do I want to create? And you're making a list of those things that, you really think about it. And this is what typical goal setting is, right? Is to think about what it is that you want to create or you want to manifest in your reality, and write it down on paper. And all of that is what you do with your thinking mind. You think about it. But for the manifestation process to be really, really powerful, you want to work with your intuition, not your intellect. It's an entirely different way of working with the creation process. And when I say intuition, again, I'm not talking about listening to your feelings and saying, oh, I feel like I want this. No, your intuition is a non-emotional, intuitive faculty of consciousness. There is no emotion tied to your intuition. In yoga tradition, intuition is called pratibha, and it's this very deep knowing. Okay, it's not your feelings, it's beyond your feelings. And the thing that distinguishes your intuition from your feeling is this sense of there's an emotional charge when there's a feeling related to it. With intuition, there's not an emotional charge. Generally speaking, there's just a sense of quiet peacefulness and a deep knowing. There's no attachment either with intuition, whereas with our feeling, there's like, usually there's a charge around it, some type of attachment or judgment, like I have to have this because, and there's a reason. There's always some type of reasoning why it is that whatever is coming up for you that your heart is telling you you need or want. So that's number one. The number one mistake I see people make is using their intellect instead of their intuition. The number two mistake that people use or do in the manifestation process is that they don't have the right desire. And this is a big one because, especially in the new age world, especially in the world of law of attraction, there's this big thing about generate the desire for what it is that you want. And again, I'm telling you, throw that out the window. And here's why. Because generally speaking, and you can test this for yourself, most people, their desire is a selfish desire. It's what they want for themselves. It's what you want for yourself. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, what's wrong with that? That's what I want for myself. Well, there's a huge difference between a selfish desire and a selfless desire. Think of it this way. There's a difference between what you want for yourself and what reality is calling forth in you, through you, and as you. Think about that for a moment. There's a difference between what it is that you want. You know, I want to make more money. I want success. I don't want to have to deal with this or that, whatever it might be. That's what you want, right? Versus what reality is calling forth in you, through you, and as you. If you like to use the word God, it's what is God or spirit calling forth from you. And can your desire be to fulfill what reality wants from you instead of what you want from yourself or for yourself? Again, it's a very, very big difference in desire. I go into this, or I have gone into this in quite a bit of depth in our practice sessions together. But quickly speaking here, when we have selfish desires, meaning we want something for ourselves, it's generally that we're looking to fulfill or to fill a void within ourselves by seeking something outside of ourselves. The problem with seeking something outside of ourselves, of course, is that everything is impermanent. Nothing lasts forever. Everything changes. So once we get that thing that we think it is that we want, it will at some point change or no longer be there. And then we'll be ending up desiring all over again. So subtle distinction here. I'm going quickly through these because we're going to get into our practice of this in just a moment, but setting this up. So number one, again, is using your intellect versus your intuition to manifest. Number two is not having the right desire. So having a selfish desire versus a selfless desire. And then the last piece is a very, very important, very subtle, but critical piece in the process of manifestation, which is not being in the proper state of reception. So to describe this and to explain this fairly quickly, think of it like this. When you give a gift, think of your beloved. Or if you don't have a beloved, if you had a beloved at one time, think of that person, or maybe it's a child or a parent or a grandparent that you dearly love. And it's the holiday season, so we can use this analogy. It works really well. You buy a gift for your beloved, and you're so excited because you know that this gift is exactly the thing that they want and they need, and you're going to give it to them, and it's going to give you so much joy to give this gift to them, and for them to receive the gift. You seeing them experiencing joy gives you pleasure, right? Have you ever had that experience? I know I certainly have. And it's funny because my daughter, she gets really excited about giving gifts to people, and she gave me a purse for Christmas this year, and she was so excited, and she kept texting me, "I can't wait, this is the best gift I've ever gotten you, and you're gonna love it." And it was just so endearing and so wonderful, and it's a wonderful gift and purse, and I loved it, and I could see her pleasure, the pleasure that she received in giving to me and experiencing me receiving pleasure in her giving me that gift. Does that make sense? So the key here is that the secret is in turning receiving into the act of giving. So when we're manifesting something, we're wanting to receive something, right? Okay. What we want to do is turn that receiving into an act of giving. How does that work? Well, in that analogy that I just used of giving the gift, think of the divine as being the one who's giving you this gift, whatever it is that you're working on creating and manifesting in your life, right? And when the divine graces you with this gift, it experiences pleasure and joy in you receiving that gift. So in your own act of receiving whatever it is that you receive from the divine, you are actually giving back that pleasure to the divine. So if you can move into or use this concept of receiving as an act of giving back to the divine, it's going to supercharge your manifestation. So the thing to know here is that the outer action doesn't change. You're still going to receive. You're still going to manifest. It's the inner action that changes. It's the intention behind why you're receiving. That's what changes. All right. So to recap here, the 3 mistakes that most people make in manifesting are: number 1, using their intellect instead of their intuition. So we want to have intuitive based manifestation techniques. Number 2, not having the right desire. So having a selfish desire versus a selfless desire. We want to be sure that our desires are selfless. And then number 3, being in the proper state of reception or not being in the proper state of reception. So we want our intention for receiving to be an act of giving. A little bit of a mind twist there. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take all of that and we're going to put it into a very, very powerful manifestation meditation. And I'm going to set up this meditation for you. I know I'm taking a little bit longer than I normally do with our lessons, but this is important. So the manifestation meditation that we're going to do now uses our guide. Those of you who come to practice sessions often are familiar with your most trusted guide. However, this time you're going to meet a new guide. It's not going to be your most trusted guide. This guide is specifically a manifestation guide. So this is the guide that you use or that you go to every time that you want to co-create with reality. Every time that you want to manifest something in your life, you'll use this guide. So in this meditation, we'll work with that guide. Very important to work with a guide. And we're going to access that space in your heart that many of you who come to these sessions often are familiar with. It's the Holy of Holies. It's the sacred space of the heart. And we're going to, this sacred space of the heart is used primarily to, we've been using it to cultivate our intuition. And because we're manifesting using our intuition, we want to go to that space in our heart. It's a real space. So it's not metaphorical. It's actually a place called the Holy of Holies or the inner sanctum. So we have the heart or the sacred space of the heart that we move into, and then we move from the sacred space in the heart to another place in the heart called the Holy of Holies. Again, it was used by Jesus Christ, Buddha, Krishna, every mystic who has ever, practiced these types of things has written about in some form or other the Holy of Holies or the inside of the inside. And these are not my words. These are actually words that are written in the scriptures. So when we talk about this space, it's a very real space that we go into. When we go into this space, I am going to guide you through a very specific process for manifestation that is not anything like you've ever experienced before. In other words, it's not about goal setting and you trying to think of what it is that you want. Okay, so enough said about that. I'll let the rest of it be a mystery to you, and we'll move into our meditation.